Welcome to Finding Emo. I'm Blake Fisher. This is Chris Monnier. This
Hi.
is Kyle Simmons.
I've always wanted to do that. I
Just
finally got
jump
it
in there. Yeah, it's a lot harder when we're remote, isn't it?
Yeah. You guys a little delay.
Anyway, this is our podcast, and my teleprompter just went out. So I don't actually know what this
got you
podcast is
twice.
about. You really did. Oh, man. I'm just going to wing it. Here we go. Anyway, but say I don't want to cut that part out. That was good.
Then keep
All
going.
right, I'm just going to keep going. This is our podcast.
Yeah, cut right now.
This is our podcast where we talk about. See, I changed the intro. Now I can't remember it.
Music. What do I do?
The music production. No, it's like, yeah, hit that mouse. Oh gosh, see, you're connected. This now you're getting seen the behind the scenes of this podcast.
This is real.
This is real. Yeah, that's it. Now we got it. I got to put that thing to not sleep. I'm gonna try that one more time, and I'm gonna pretend, but I'm gonna keep all this in.
Okay.
We're gonna keep it real. I'm not gonna edit this out. Anyway, this is our podcast where we discuss the music, the songwriting, and the production of our favorite albums from the early aughts and thereabouts. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Got it.
Thanks for joining me. You would think I'd be able to memorize one sentence.
No, you changed
did
it
fine.
up.
I changed it. I did
Yeah.
change it. I thought we needed a little more description about what we do on this hour and a half long podcast.
Yeah,
so that
'cause it
people
really has
knew.
evolved into us talking a lot.
There's a point. If you love this album, you'll probably like this podcast episode. If you've never heard this album,
Turn it off.
You should just go away. And I love you being here. Maybe you'll listen to it and you'll want to check out. I've gotten more than one message about someone being like, I checked out Green Day because they're like 20
Oh,
and they'd never heard of Green Day, I guess.
wow.
And I was like,
They're not allowed to listen anymore.
no, I'm impressed. Like,
Preston.
I mean, is
I
that
assume that's his
a
name.
KC name? Anyway, so I guess sometimes it does happen that you might hear an episode that you've never heard before, but for the most part, this is a nostalgia bomb. That's really what's going on here. And today we are talking about the album from Relient K entitled 5 Years Ago. And Kyle has been vigorously researching this for weeks.
Been studying so much.
Or he just pulled up Wikipedia 5 minutes ago.
Maybe.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You determine.
You find out when he reads the facts
Yeah.
from his mind grapes.
Pull up your own Wikipedia page and see if he's saying the same thing.
It might be similar.
It might be
not.
similar. It's because he wrote the Wikipedia
Yeah,
page, guys.
there it is.
That's really what happened. Anyway, Kyle, take it away. Tell us about this album.
Okay, so 5th studio album.
Hence the 5 score.
That's right.
Dang, that is pretty prolific for their age.
March 6, 2007 was the release. I didn't remember this because I genuinely thought that it was Mmhmm. But apparently this is the first Capitol recordings release. And so that's what it says. I thought that Mmhmm was.
Well, maybe it's one of those like Capital.
Yeah,
pushed
Capitol
it,
might
but
have
it came
been.
out of
Oh, you're
Goatee.
right. And they
think that's
purchased.
what it
That's
is. Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
They
You're
were
exactly
on,
right.
they were on Capitol
For
when
sure.
Mmhmm came out for sure. They just
post.
yeah.
They made the record. It sounded great. They got signed probably.
Right.
I bet it was even like a development
Retroactive?
deal thing.
Okay.
How Columbia did that with like
Militia
Copeland
Group, yeah.
and Militia Group all the time, and like
You'd get both
Dashboard
CDs.
Interscope bought
Yep.
half a Vagrant so they could not have to put the Interscope label on it. Anyway, that sounds tricky.
So it says for the first time being on a major label that they were given a pre-production period of time. And that was good because the band members didn't live in the same state at that time. And I didn't know this. Howard Benson produced this record with
that.
Matt Thiessen and the guy that always Mark Lee Townsend. He works on all of their records. I'm not exactly sure who did what, but this is also the first record that Jonathan Schneck, the second guitarist that they picked up, the guy that plays the xylophone, like live, multi-instrumentalist, and
We might look up the credits. I feel like Howard Benson did the singles.
I think, and
'cause he did that on Starting Line
this
too,
wouldn't
right?
be the
Yeah.
first time that happened.
I feel like that's what happened, but we're gonna have to check that live to figure out if that's really true.
we can look song to song.
I'll look that up while you keep telling us more about this album, if you have more.
Yeah, I got a little bit more personally. The band's longtime producer, Mark Lee Townsend, spoke of the album being recorded at his site. He produced the first track and the last track of the album, as well as Crayons Can Melt on Us All for All I Care.
The 10-second song.
Yeah. But I don't see where it says anything about what songs specifically Benson did.
I'm
Maybe
looking to
all of
see
the
if
others.
it says here. That's what I'm wondering. Or maybe he did the whole rest of it and it was just, what's his name on the other ones? Let's see.
It says they recorded for a couple weeks with Howard Benson.
Okay.
and it's the first time they used a different producer. He had recorded everything they released up to this point. Matt Thiessen also. Thiessen or Thiessen?
I don't know.
Man.
We really don't know.
Your pronunciation feels good.
Thiessen?
Yeah.
Or Thiessen?
I would think Thiessen, but it's a TH, but I mean, it could be.
Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Yeah. But that's also one of those names that you could probably,
Yeah.
like, different people are like, my wife's ex name was Lucas, and it's Lucas, Lucchese. I mean, it's like different ways that people say it. So,
Well, so I'm going to gather from what I just said that Mark only did a couple songs, and then Matt and Howard actually did the rest. And I didn't know that until just now.
I think that's probably right. In here in the credits, it says Howard Benson played organ as well. I didn't know he did that. So yeah, I mean, that would be my guess, but I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't get a track by track version here that actually tells me the individual songs. It just says the album. But I bet if we had the real album, it would say who did what tracks.
Well,
I don't have it,
I have the vinyl. I should have brought it. Man,
we could have been holding it up and showing people
that would have been cool.
what the vinyl looks like.
Well, and I actually have the one where something happened. I don't know if it was a band member or a copyright issue, but they didn't get the label didn't release the right to reprint the artwork, but they could make the vinyl.
What a
And
silly thing.
it could be exactly like what we talked about on the Paramore episode, where it's potentially an X.
a change.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, because it's got the 5 of them
Yeah.
in the slash.
Which I've always liked, how one guy's
Very
standing
cool.
behind Matt so that he
Yes.
doesn't make another
Yep.
5. Yeah, it's a pretty smart album cover.
And the one that I have is like illustrated. It's not a photo. Pretty cool. Anyway, it debuted in 2007. I don't think this is bad, and I didn't really know Relient K did these kind of numbers. It debuted at number 6 on the Billboard 200.
This is a pretty big one.
First week, 64,000 copies. It's not too shabby.
Not bad.
As of July 11, 2007, it had sold 152,000 copies.
Dang.
So
It went gold eventually.
surely.
Yeah, you know what it says? It says in the their Wikipedia page, the main one.
Gold
Oh.
records, baby.
Well, I'm not reading from
No,
Wikipedia.
you're reading from your personal notes.
Yeah,
So-
these are his personal notes that he wrote
The
himself.
band has sold over 2 million records with 3 albums gold. So that must include
Gotta.
Forget
Have you-
Not Slow Down
yeah.
and 5 Score, right?
It's gotta be
I
those.
would think it's going to be those ones.
Yeah.
Not Deck the Halls.
You never know, those Christmas albums, man.
Banger. Yeah.
They do pretty well. Any other tidbits of information we need to know about this album?
No, that's all I got. That's all that I studied.
That's all. That's all the research he did. He called people. He's been
I can see with a pencil in his mouth, like flipping through like papers in the like one of those Ghostbuster style libraries.
Circling.
He went to the library and checked out a bunch of books.
Sir, we have to close. You don't understand.
I mean, I can tell you this, and I'm learning this in real time. There were 6 singles off of this.
Dang.
And I'm not saying that these songs aren't great, but that's kind of surprising.
That is a little
Were
surprising.
they still part of the Christian contemporary scene at this time? They're starting to pull away.
So they call, like, Wikipedia still calls them a Christian band.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, not that we need to get into it, but I really first of all, that's not a thing anymore.
No.
Right?
It was more of a
And
90s.
and also,
early
like,
2000s thing.
even then when it was happening, it was confusing because it's like, how does a band be a Christian?
Well, I mean, if you really want to like get into the nitty gritty of stuff, you can't. I mean, it's like,
Hold on, I want to talk about that sigh, Blake, before you start.
well, it's because
Well,
I've had this argument with
Okay.
1,000 people. I think.
My godmother told me that when you bought a Christian CD, all the money went to the church.
Wrong.
No, right. But
Wrong.
that's what I believed. I was like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. Then I should only buy those.
I
But
can
no,
promise you,
just
almost
went
none of it went to the
Almost
band. Just
none.
like
No,
if you bought a
exactly. No,
non-Christian
it just
album.
went-
Almost none.
to buy people.
I think I get it to some degree, but it feels like, can you be a Christian plumber? I don't know. I don't think you can be if it's just what you do for a living. I
Right,
mean, like
right.
like if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty of what I believe, I think God ordains all work.
Sure.
Whether you're
Well-
in a band or a plumber or a lawyer or whatever, you're supposed to do it a certain way, but like, I think trying to put that label on you, especially when most of the biggest Christian bands of all times don't call themselves Christian bands. So
Well,
like U2.
a Christian in a band makes sense to me.
Yeah.
A Christian band makes no sense to
Yeah,
me.
that makes sense to me.
And it's not even a thing anymore, right? Like I don't even
It's
know.
not,
Is
yeah.
there even Christian rock music
I'm
anymore?
sure there is. There probably
Skillet.
is. There probably still is. I don't
Aren't
know.
they still Christian?
Yeah, you're right.
There probably still is stuff. Yeah, I don't
Carmen
know.
They
still
never
around?
stopped being Christian. Carmen died.
For the most part,
R.I.P.
he did. Yeah, I think for the most part, it was just an excuse to hop on a trend, with a lesser version of a band.
That's what it
That
was.
they were probably get, I mean, you think the labels took advantage of bands in general? Those Christian labels absolutely took advantage of bands in a way that was not cool.
Like I
I got stories, homie.
Yeah,
Well, I was gonna
you've
see
been there.
And they pulled DC Talking Room like, you're not doing rap anymore. We're not. You're not.
Right.
Well, dude, so like the other
You're a
thing
rock
is,
band now.
I'm going to say Relient K was one of the, obviously DC Talk is the first, but Relient K, I think they were pioneers in that way that like they were a Christian pop punk band. At least I think that's what most people would have called them.
Right.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
they made this, I hate calling it a switch because we just all kind of agreed that Christian band is kind of a weird thing to say, but they made the switch from Christian music to mainstream.
Do you know why?
Successfully.
Do you know how they did that?
No.
They made good music.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
really what it boils
no,
down to.
yeah,
Right,
totally.
no,
but
exactly.
that's how
what
you
happens
make
with
it out
all
of
the
it.
bands.
but
yeah.
like,
Jars of Clay, same thing.
But-
That album's
They
great.
made great music.
but the
yeah.
point that I'm trying to make is like there was a point in time that I personally dealt with that if someone saw you as marketable to both Christian and mainstream, then it was just about dollar signs. Like, oh, well, we can sell it to all the Christian kids, we can market it as Christian, and then we can sell it to the secular.
Well,
kids.
it's just two different it's like two different markets. You're
Well,
going
it
after.
was two different
It's a business.
silos because
Yeah.
most Christian kids weren't allowed to buy secular music.
Exactly.
So you basically had the whole market to yourself if you could just make it decent.
Yep.
Um,
Well, I don't know if I've ever talked about Christian. Have we talked about the Christian music scene on here?
I'm sure we have a
maybe
little
on
bit
the
because we've
MXPX episode.
So
Yeah,
I got sent to what is called GMA, gospel. I can't even remember, but it's like a press junket for gospel music. I didn't make gospel music. Arguably I didn't make Christian music.
Right.
But like they sent me because it was like South by Southwest for Christian music, and I had an album coming out.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest experience of my life.
I'm sure it was.
Like very weird.
And by
Lots
the way,
of drugs. Barely remember it.
We were partying. We were just doing 8 balls.
Great.
did a
Christian
lot.
drugs hit hard, y'all.
It's Starburst. And,
Sacramento.
no, I'm just kidding.
We ate pink Starburst
Pink
and
Starburst.
drank Surge.
And by the way, keep in mind this is like at a time where we were all
Barely legal.
navigating this in
Jolt-Cola.
Oklahoma, where
Right. If
like,
you're not from Oklahoma, yeah.
Well, and everyone wanted. I remember you guys' band. Everyone wanted your band to be a Christian band.
Right. And we wanted to, but it got complicated because even if you were trying to be a Christian band,
I think you wanted to be a good band.
well, but even if you were trying to be, there was these unwritten rules that were hard to navigate. Like some churches didn't like it if you ever played something that wasn't a church. Like
Oh,
for them,
sure.
that wasn't Christian. It was like,
Yeah.
oh.
yeah. Anyway, Relient K is definitely in the middle of
Yeah.
all of this kind of stuff, right? I mean, they are like maybe the poster boys of it, right?
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think that's why it's a good conversation
Yeah.
to have, is because it was an interesting time.
Yeah, it really was. And I think that but I think that's the key difference. If you make good music, it will inevitably get past the bounds of whatever your initial niche is anyway. Because
absolutely
everyone starts, I mean, like, look, even the way that
Amy Grant, perfect example.
Or-
She just rocks.
or instead, or like Jars of Clay,
Yeah.
or I mean, U2 would be a technical example,
Yeah.
although they were never in a Christian music scene, but those guys are obviously Christians. I mean, the lyrics are very clearly, it's like they're clearly Christians in a band, but it was good music, so it elevated again. So I think people forget, I think, and we forget even, that when you release an album, even, especially back then, they would have like a band like Relient K, bad example, probably, although not exactly. You'll release like a rock single first for kind of the rock crowd.
Right.
And then the second single might be the more poppy one that goes like more, you try to push it more to top 40 or something.
CCM radio.
Right. And so,
yeah.
so you're doing that you're trying to like go, okay, step 1 is this, and then step 2 is this, and step 3. You're always trying to expand that thing. It's just that if you make really good music, it's easier to do.
But it was a very special, like it was a very specific moment in time because you had, like, I just looked this up, right at the same time in heavier music. Remember, POD was doing the same thing.
But they did, I mean,
Good music.
it
You're
was
right.
good for
You're
that,
right.
That
You're right.
never was my exact style, but like they were good.
Yeah.
They were good. Switchfoot is another one.
Great.
Great.
Oh, great.
They're a great band.
We haven't done a Switchfoot record.
We haven't. We need to do Beautiful Letdown
For
for sure.
sure.
I went and saw their 20-year
so good.
anniversary
It is so
kind of
good.
tour of that, and it was really good. They are a very good band.
Is there a more recognizable riff than the beginning of Meant
It's
to
pretty
Live?
solid.
No.
It's
It's also a great stereo test if you ever need to figure out
yeah.
if your stereo is working correctly in stereo. It's that thing's hard panned. Yeah, but I mean, but the thing that all those bands have in common that made it past that CCM
The cream rose to the top.
is because they're really good bands.
You're
They're
right.
they write good songs that people relate to, and if you write good songs that people relate to, I don't think it matters what label you put on it because people don't care. They go, "Oh, I like that music."
Well, I remember the first time I talked to Relient K backstage because Matt saw my Saves the Day pin and he was like, "I love that band," and I was like, "How do you know who they are, sir?" That's what I really thought in my head. And we went backstage and the drummer was smoking cigarettes, and I was like, "What is happening?"
Yep.
But it was a good moment because the thing is, Matt and all those guys were so wholesome and awesome that I kind of realized, like, oh, they're just like people, like living their
regular
lives.
people.
And you can smoke cigarettes and be a Christian, and you're in rock and roll, like a lot of people smoke.
Who
Who cares?
I also specifically, if we want to really get into one more thing about this, the thing I don't like about labeling something a Christian band is the same thing I don't like about and this is me coming from a church-going Christian all my life, still, but I don't like the idol thing that we do with like celebrity pastors, and that we do with bands, even where we go like we put them on a different pedestal.
Yeah.
And
That's exactly right. They're just dudes working.
well, and like
or girls.
Haley Williams even has songs about that, where it's like that kind of happened to her, where it was kind of like there was this expectation as someone that like people knew was a Christian, or is it a Christian band? Is it not a Christian band? Is it like, and she has these songs like you should not put me up on a pedestal because I'm a human being and I'm gonna disappoint you. And I think anytime you do that with anyone, especially when you're conflating religion with it and stuff, I think it gets really messy. And I wouldn't want that pressure as a person in a band, which it's like, I was happy to be a Christian in a band and say, hey, I hope I'm a good influence on kids and that I'm a model for them or something. And then I'm like using that influence for good, but I don't want the pressure of someone like thinking that I'm perfect.
Right.
That seems like a really you're going to get disappointed because no one is. You're going to get disappointed by people. So anyway, that's my theological reason for, I'm glad they broke out of that sort of prison. And like I said, that side of the music industry was also
weird,
even a little weirder than the already not great music industry.
Well, and to your point, Blake, like I think is when they started making their best music, and like the crossover, they really hit their stride.
Well, I mean, we did before, and we talked about how it's really hard to like say that album title.
That's what noises he makes.
Oh my gosh, he's the worst at that, isn't he?
It's like, what? Dude, you don't have to make.
Can the guy not cut that out in post?
No,
like,
they do it on purpose.
Why?
Well,
anyway, we don't have to talk about the New York Times podcast right now. But okay, I think that was we talked about Chris and I. Really, that was the first one we really went all in on Relient K because our friend was like, "You have to listen to this record." Shaline, Kyle Shaline was like, "You have to listen to this," and we were like a little hesitant because they were a little kitschy before.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right?
Oh, it was so nerdy before.
Yeah. And it was not bad. It still had good melodies. You could see, but it was a kitschy thing for sure. And it's not that I didn't like it, but it wasn't like my favorite thing. Well,
they were catering and leaning into the Christian label before.
Well, and also
girls that went to Christian college that liked that band.
Yes.
That's it.
And I will say, don't you think that Matt also like dialed back the tongue in cheekness?
Yes. He grew up. He got older.
And he's so good at it. He's so good at it. But he refined
His lyrics
it.
got so
refined
good.
it is a perfect way.
He refined it because he still does it.
Yeah.
But he does it in such a like more grown up way than when he was 18. Weird. Well, weird.
Shocking.
But yeah, I mean, to me, they just took it up a level on this one that was like, because was shocking to me as far as how good it was. I was kind of like, our friend was right. It was a phenomenal record. And so I was really excited about this one coming out.
No, I was stoked. I went and got a Target the day it came out.
Yeah, I think I did too. I think I got the Target release.
What was special? There was something going on with the Target release, wasn't it?
I think it came with...
we were on the road, I know for sure. I think we might have just...
like,
no, there was something about it. Maybe.
Bonus track.
No, there wasn't a bonus on it because I've got that version. And
there was a reason we went to Target. Or maybe we were just excited.
I just might have been at Target. I don't know. Anyway, I do remember buying it on the road. And so I remember being excited about it. So I guess that's a good transition to first impressions now that we've talked all about Christian bands for 20 minutes.
Preaching a little bit.
Kyle, I feel like you should go first just because I feel like you were probably more into Relient K before we were. Is that fair?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think I always liked them. Definitely their first record is cheesy. That's accurate. For sure. But yeah, I liked them.
Still has some good tunes though.
Dude, I loved this. I mean, and also I was primed. The pump was fully primed with
Right.
like such a
No,
great
you
record.
have my attention.
Right.
For sure.
And-
I'm excited.
And like, I don't think this is a fluke. I think this is a really good band becoming an even better band. And then I heard it and it's like, I mean, we'll discuss the opening track in a minute. And it's just like, holy crap. They did it again.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think we've talked about it with a few other bands. I think that they had at least a solid 3 perfect record run.
I think that's totally fair.
So
This in the middle and forget not slow down.
yes.
I think you're right. I think it's really solid. Chris, what about you? I mean, we both bought it the exact same day. I remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember where in the hell we were in this country, but we were somewhere.
Feels like Midwest.
It probably was. Most of the time was.
Man, I wonder if the anticipation was a little too high for me. Kind of blew me away in a very special way because I didn't really care much for the band before that record. You know, it just wasn't my thing.
I was in the same boat. Yeah.
And that ended up, that's still to this day one of my favorite records of all time. So the hype was palpable. I was very, very excited, and when I put it in, I was like, it wasn't exactly what I expected. It was, but it was really, really good. I wanted a little more pop punk, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying I was disappointed.
Sure. Yeah.
Just saying it wasn't what I expected.
I can remember I can remember the building and what it looked like and the venue we were at because I remember listening to it in my headphones while we were there, but I do not remember where we were. But yeah, I mean, I think that it was.
I remember grabbing to see it.
I got the Target exclusive.
What is it? What is
it?
All
right.
Good job, Kyle.
Deluxe limited
personal.
edition.
Yeah.
Came with a DVD bonus.
That was it.
The DVD bonus.
It included acoustic performances in the historic Capitol studios, interviews and B-roll footage, exclusive artwork. It had that sticker. I remember. See?
Yep.
Like with like the.
Oh yeah. You gotta send that to me. We'll put it on the notes.
Yeah, and let's see.
I still have some of those videos in my iTunes now that all makes sense.
And not like this meant anything to me, but I guess you got early access to purchase up to 4 Relient K tickets.
Oh,
Heck
my
yeah.
gosh.
Definitely didn't use it.
I did go see them after this album came out because our buddies Man Alive were opening for them here.
Yeah.
And remember, did you go to that show with me?
Wait.
Where was it at?
It was
I
at
saw
Coca-Cola.
the wedding. No, the wedding opened for him. Or was
was
it Man
it?
Alive and the wedding? It was
The
both.
Man Alive guys were definitely there.
No.
But why would they have
May
been there?
opened for them one time.
We
in the
toured
weekend.
with Man Alive and the wedding. So then I
Yes.
think Man Alive
And then
got
Man
to
Alive
open
was
for
on
the
the-
wedding. I think we were a little jealous too that we weren't opening for
Or
him.
maybe it was both. I don't remember. Yeah, I think we probably were. Anyway, the point
show.
is, I think this was like a great. It made total sense. They weren't doing the exact same thing as Mmhmm. It's definitely like Mmhmm obviously like launched them.
Yeah.
And so they didn't want to like totally abandon that. But to me, it was a great evolution of
right.
Mmhmm. It felt like, we're
The
not
next step.
straying too far, but we're the next step. There's some stuff on it where you're like, oh, cool. We're trying some stuff.
Right.
So I generally remember liking it. I remember being floored by the last track. which
Oh
we'll
my
get to.
gosh.
Just going like, wow. Had no idea these guys had like this kind of an epic in them and stuff, which we'll get to that. But so I remember generally being impressed and liking it. And there's a few songs on it that are some of my favorite songs of theirs are on this record. So
Yes.
I'm for it.
100%.
I think we should go to track by track if that's okay with you guys.
Let's do it.
right, we're gonna-
I agree with the plan.
We're gonna go to track 1, which is we are gonna do it because it's not a very long song, but it's worth doing. It's called "Pleading the Fifth," and in parentheses, a cappella, in case you didn't know that this is all him singing.
That night at the theater, an impersonator died. Mr. Booth was tried. I just kept the truth inside. And in the courtroom, the judge will not catch wind of this. Up there on the stand, I'll plead the fifth.
So, Kyle, what were your thoughts first time you hear this?
I mean, it was literally, you have my attention,
Right.
Like, where's this gonna go? I didn't think that they were gonna be an a cappella band. I wasn't scared of that, but
You were like, is it rockapella? They're going to do "Where in the World is Carmen
that
Sandiego"?
would be a departure.
yes,
That would be quite a departure.
But it was definitely, I was
Rockapella was
I
that
was
band.
intrigued nervous, excited about where it was going to go. And I think it's a cool intro to the record. And the transition from this song into the first track is great. We didn't get there. We barely missed it. I think that intro is like a minute long, but man,
Here's the thing. I'm
it's cool.
gonna disagree on that.
Ooh.
I actually do not think it flows well into the
Really?
next song because it's a different key. And I wish it would go. I wish they wouldn't have done the organ swell into the
Okay.
second track. I wish they just would have been like the ramp up of the vocals right into the.
Okay.
da-na-na-na-na. I think that's what I would have done is ramp it right into it instead because it felt like it built up and then we have another build up of the organ.
Okay.
It's one of my only complaints about this record, I think. But it almost feels like I like the first track. I think it's cool. I think it's also showing off quite a bit.
Yeah.
That like we see like, oh,
Yeah.
we've got some real kind of talent and coming up with this and doing all that with your mouth. And then it's like the noises.
Yeah.
But I feel like they almost made this as the opening track after they did after they had already recorded.
You're right. He does have a talented mouth.
He is, and he plays all the instruments on the last track too, like a bunch of the horns and stuff. Like he's a talented guy that we didn't know was this good.
You
mouth
guys
stuff.
said you saw
Mouth
mouth stuff. You guys said that you saw him. I went to see him a few times. I definitely remember that after they were rocking the 3-part harmonies live.
As you should.
Yeah.
Oh no,
so-
they could pull it off for sure.
Yeah, like excuse me, they were pulling it off. That's right.
Yeah.
Like
I hate it when people don't even try because I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, you got auto-tune racks. You could fake this if you needed to. Like lie to me.
light
Well, the
of it.
first
Lie to
time I
me.
saw him was like at a church, and Fillmore was opening up for him.
City
Yeah.
Church.
Yes. They all
Yep.
have mustaches.
Yep.
I remember, like, I wanted to be in a band so bad because all the
And I
guys had
wanted a
mustaches,
mustache.
and I was like, they're doing like a tour thing.
Yep.
They all have mustaches. They're having so much fun.
They're brothers.
They probably were having an absolute blast, though.
Yeah.
For sure. I like the first track, though. I like it. I just wish that it went straight into the next song. Chris, do you have any thoughts on Pleading the Fifth?
I guess every band goes through their Beatles or Beach Boys phase. I was just happy it was Beach Boys.
Yeah, Beach Boys. Good call.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of...
Yeah, if you go the other way, then it always spells disaster.
I mean, only because I feel like the Beach Boys are, I don't want to say easier to imitate. It's more spot on because the Beach Boys kind of had,
Beach Boys wrote really fun
Such a
songs
sound-
with
yeah.
great melodies
Yep.
and harmonies.
whereas the Beatles, you can copy the wrong part of the Beatles.
That's exactly right.
And it's like, that was kind of when the Beatles were a mess. I'm like, you know what I mean? It's like there were too many drugs going on. Then don't copy that part of the Beatles.
That's not
without-
what
let's
people
shift
like about the Beatles.
right. But if someone came out and was like,
We want a twisted
and
shout.
like did a straight up like, please me style thing, I'd be like, yeah, please.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, let's go to track 2, which is Come Right Out and Say It.
Understood. You make up your mind. You had a decision locked up so tight it couldn't be touched. Thought you were being so kind, but keeping your mouth sealed shut rather than just open it up. Why don't you come right out and say it? Even if the words are probably gonna hurt, I'd rather have the truth than something insincere. Why don't you come right out and say it? What it is you're thinking, though I'm thinking it's not what I wanna hear.
Chris Monnier, thoughts on track 2? Come Right Out and Say It. Which is this the first single? This is a single.
Yeah.
It's not a single.
It's
Wait,
not?
What?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it's the second single.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was it's like,
No.
I definitely saw this.
No.
So
What?
must have done something right was the first single, right?
Hold on. I'm pulling it up to show
Okay,
you.
hold on.
Here is the list singles. And
Oh,
it's
okay,
not
you're right. It's
listed.
not on there. Why did I think it was a single?
Because it's freaking
Because
awesome.
it's great.
This
How
is
did
one
they
of my
not make this a
favorite-
single?
This is one of my favorite Relient K songs, if not
great.
the favorite Relient K
And
song.
it's a great melody, though.
Yeah.
Why don't you? That's a great.
Man, 6 singles and this wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was my only note. Was one of my all-time favorite songs. Had Listen to Me, the background vocals.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's just perfect. It's a perfect song.
Well, I like that what they started doing on Mmhmm and into this track, into this record is like the big dynamics on stuff. They did more of it on Mmhmm, but like this is a good example of, I mean, that chorus is big.
Yeah.
Like it is all of the, I mean, it's very Howard Benson. It is all, the drums are just thumping you, which I like, but they also get quiet. Like that bridge that you were talking about is a chill piano thing, and they managed to do the piano thing pretty well in a rock band.
They did pull it off. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, only some bands do. Sorry, something corporate. Sure.
Yep.
And I guess that's Howard Benson playing that organ, I'm
Yeah.
going to guess.
Yeah.
I mean, so it says credit. Kyle, what are your thoughts on track 2? That's not a single. Crazy.
Right? I guess Wikipedia could be wrong, but
You mentioned him sharpening his ability to write lyrics. The lyrics on this chorus are insanely good. Come right out and say it. What is it? Let's see. Why don't you come right out and say it? Even though the words are probably going to hurt, I'd rather have the truth than something insincere. And then what it is you're thinking, though I'm thinking it's not what I want to hear. I love that. It's just awesome. Great freaking song. I can't believe it wasn't a single, especially knowing now that there were 6 singles. That's insane.
Yeah, I think that you mentioned the lyrics, and there's still that wit and the. I don't want to say double entendre because it's not like that, but it is like the kind of switching of words and their meaning and stuff like that he's really good at, and that people like Owl City 1,000% copied from from him.
He's a good lyricist.
And so, but I think he is sharpening all of his tools on this record. And I think kind of for the build up to the next one, which is, I feel like kind of lyrically his best.
Oh my God. Absolutely.
On Forget Not Slow Down,
So-
like that record.
That was the other thing I was going to say. Chris mentioned you guys both mentioned it being kind of like being a successful piano band. This was the transition of John Schneck came on to play guitar and he was a multi-instrumentalist, but this is where we started to see Matt play the keys at shows.
Yeah.
right.
Like he would keep the guitar on.
Yeah, and walk over there.
Yes, but he was playing mostly keys. And that was, I remember that being kind of a big deal because like, it kind of
pop punk band.
like it's like what is he doing? Like kind of seemed uncool, but they nailed it.
Yeah.
So
And he's like almost always on the piano now
Yep.
at shows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he did both. I mean, like the last time we saw him, because we saw him for the 20-year
And
thing,
it
I
was
guess, or whatever it
excellent.
was. It was great. And yeah, I mean, he's always got that freaking cherry red.
It was this lineup, too.
335. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The original drummer came back, right?
Dave Douglas?
Yeah.
but yeah,
Alliteration.
it's a good song. I really can't believe that's not
fake sounding name.
a single. That really does seem kind of crazy. Okay, let's go to I Need You, track 3.
Voice of who I used to be. Screaming out, someone please. Please shine a light into the black. Get through the depths and bring me back. I have not been abandoned. No, I have not been deserted, and I have not been forgotten. I need you. I need you here. I need you now. I need security somehow. I need you like you would not.
Chris Monnier, thoughts on track 3? I Need You.
Banger. Absolute banger. These guys like are not wieners. Like they can write a tough ass song.
It's a freaking metal chord.
It
in the middle
is,
there,
dude.
right?
And the verse is just like I mean, I love it, dude. I thought it was a bold freaking move because Mmhmm was all candy and it was great. So coming out technically track 2, but really track 3. The acapella thing doesn't count. Yeah. Who's the background vocal there? Is that?
I think it's all him.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
it
all
is.
Matt. It's gotta
really?
be.
I
Yeah.
thought it was maybe like some sort of guest vocalist. Okay. Yeah, this is one
I didn't
always wanted
listen
to see
close
live.
enough, but I mean, I think the whoa-ohs are probably a little bit of gang. It's probably not just him. Because you can kind of tell when it's like the first track is all him.
Yeah.
Or at least it sounds like it is. Yeah, this song freaking rocks. Kyle?
It rips, dude. Like, and it's
rips, yeah.
crazy because of the opener. And to me, this song is just as heavy and punk rock as anything that they ever did. Like, this could be this song would fit perfectly in Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like, wouldn't think twice about it. And then it's Relient K. That's just kind of wild to me.
No, I think this song's fantastic, and it definitely rips is the appropriate adjective.
It rips.
So I don't know who these guys are, but there are vocalists. Josh Auer and Ned Brower.
They're on
They
this song
rhyme.
specifically?
Yeah, because someone
Or it just says additional vocals, but it doesn't say.
right, but it says
oh, it
track
does say
3.
track 3. Yeah. Okay.
I knew there was a vocalist
Okay.
in there. It sounded a little.
I don't know who that is, and he doesn't link, so we can't know anything about him if he doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
Some dude.
It's not possible. Yeah, I would say it rocks. I'm not worried about them not rocking.
Yeah.
at this point in the record.
They can still
you know what I mean?
rock.
Like, because you listen to the first track, you'd be
Still
like,
got it.
They
I
might
love
be
it.
an a cappella
Yeah.
band now. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Right,
and then
right,
by
right.
track 3, you're like, okay, we're still
Still
forget, we can
rocking.
do this.
They still got it.
still melting people's faces with the stabby guitars. Okay, let's go
Stabby
to.
guitar. I
I
love
like the
that.
stabby guitars.
That's
I love
good.
it. Let's go to track 4, The Best Thing. This is a single.
Yeah.
Duh. Here we go.
Doy.
Cause when I looked into your eyes and you dared to stare right back, you should have said, nice to meet you, I'm your other half. This is the best thing that could be happening, and I think you would agree. The best thing is that it's happening. This is the best thing that could be happening, and I think you would agree.
Kyle, what are your thoughts?
This song is like the perfect way to express that mushy feeling, that hopefulness that you have at the beginning of a relationship.
Yeah.
It is perfect. I don't know that it fits perfectly with a mixtape must, but it will score you some points on a
Yeah.
mixtape.
It doesn't quite have the vibe
Right,
for
exactly.
the mixtape must for
But-
me.
but the
yes,
lyrics.
the lyrics are great.
Yeah.
It's just a good, like, I love you song.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Beginning of the rest
It's a
relationship.
Valentine's mixtape, right?
Yeah, you could put it on a. I don't know. It's a little dangerous to put it
Your
early in a
significant
relationship.
other
yeah.
is not going to be mad at you for
yeah,
putting
really
this
be
song
creepy.
on
No,
their
but they
mix.
might read too much into it if you're not.
That's true. If you're
You
not
gotta be
serious.
careful. If you're not serious, don't do it.
Do not throw this at him if you're not
You
serious.
cannot do that. Chris,
Oh, I
thoughts?
see. They could cut you two ways.
Oh,
Yeah, well, yeah, because you could be in trouble at that point. Chris,
I
you got
think he
any thoughts?
just writes really sweet love songs.
I think he's a sweet guy.
Yeah.
He's just,
Sweetheart.
Yeah,
Sweet guy.
As a fellow sweetheart, I appreciate it because it's not like a lusty song. It's just like I like hanging out with you.
Yeah. Totally.
I love the best thing is that it's happening here with me. Like that is just
Yeah.
so wholesome, dude.
Well, I want to make your life as good as you make mine. I mean, that's not like some like introspective lyric, but
Right.
it just does say a lot.
And you saying that makes me remember the tag on that last chorus where it goes in the whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, and does that tag again. That little chord that he's making basically with his vocals is really cool.
yeah.
And that I think that's the kind of stuff that we get more interesting things on this record than we did on
Yes.
It was like a great pop rock punk kind of thing.
Beach Boys.
But like we're getting a lot more interesting ear candy.
Oh, yeah.
On this one, I feel like.
And maybe that's Howard Benson.
I mean,
Or maybe it was just the perfect time.
I think
like
it's just
the perfect storm.
Because like Howard Benson's not the reason that like Matt starts playing all these crazy
You're
instruments
right.
and toy pianos
right.
and like stacks on stacks of vocal harmonies and stuff. I mean, maybe some of the
Howard
that might be
Benson
Howard
wasn't
Benson.
on. So
Yeah.
okay.
So I think it's just I think that. Well, I mean, I think the whole band's talented, but I think obviously Thiessen's like especially a pretty good, like smart, talented musician.
He's pretty good.
Songwriter, lyricist. He kind of has all those things, and he thinks of creative weird. Not really weird, but like he's he's working within the pop rock punk thing, but like throwing a weird thing like, well, let's play a piano, let's have some horns on this one, and I don't know, like he's not afraid to try some things. Maybe that is Howard Benson giving some kind of leeway to do that. Like
what I think is cool is, Chris, you told a story earlier that he saw your Saves the Day pen and told you that he loved that band.
Yeah.
So I had a couple times that I got to hang out with these guys, and they loved Starting Line. Like they were fans of the genre,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
they're smart too.
Right.
Starting Line was one of the best.
And so they were fans of the genre, and like I know that they were into the Beach Boys, obviously, duh. But like
Yeah.
what's cool is these are fans of music that are great musicians, and they're allowing their influences to
and they got a budget.
yes,
Right.
Like it's the perfect, like, you know how sometimes you'll hear a song that instead of allowing the song to your influences to influence the song, instead they just copy that.
Right.
Well, this is just like the perfect mixture of all of their influences.
Okay, this is a good question that's more of like a philosophical thing. The budget thing. I feel like sometimes it is the most freeing thing ever when you've got a big budget. And I think in this case, I would argue that it worked for them.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like they clearly made the record that they couldn't have made on a lesser budget because you don't have the time to experiment with these crazy things. And you wouldn't be able to make Deathbed without a big budget. It's a 12-minute song or whatever. Yeah. Like, there's just some of these things that come with a budget. And then sometimes I see bands that get huge budgets and they almost can't ever finish because of it, or they can't ever finalize anything. It's like sometimes you need that deadline. So maybe budget with a deadline.
What's the fulcrum? Because like for me, there's two things. You're right. Like there are bands that kill the record, whether it's their sophomore or whatever, when they get picked up by a major, they kill that record because they've got the time, the comfort, the money. But then there are some that tank because they don't have that hunger that they had on the first record, where it's like this has to hit. This is my one shot. So
I think that the best formula for that has always been when a band has a plan of what the record they wanted to make, and that budget just allows them to execute the plan.
Yeah.
That's all. If they use that budget and say, let's do something different than we would have done, I think that's when they go off the tracks. I hate to keep, I brought up In Utero, but I'm going to bring it up again because Nirvana got to work with the producer they always wanted to work with. I forget his name, but the Pixies guy. And that's all they wanted.
Vig.
Yeah.
No, not Vig.
No.
That's who they did Nevermind with. It's the Pixies guy. I can't remember his name. But
Freaking the guy I love, Gil Norton.
no, it's not.
Well,
Gil
he
Norton
did
either.
Pixies too. Okay.
But maybe.
Okay,
But that's not it. But anyway, they used their budget to rent a house where no one would find them in North Dakota and record the album live because that's the record they always wanted to make. Right?
Yeah.
And I think Bush did the same thing with Razorblade Suitcase. Like that was the record they wanted to make.
Yeah.
The bands that go off the rails are the ones that are like, oh, now that we have unlimited money, maybe we should try something different.
else.
And
Well, or you get
lose
so
their
Steve
identity.
Albini.
Oh,
That's it.
was Albini.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But if you go, it's just one of those weird things because and maybe there's not. I'm sure there's not a hard and fast rule with it. But I've just seen both things happen. I've seen people work with very small budgets and make phenomenal records, obviously, and even like. I think the deadline probably has more to do with anything. It's like
Well, can I take us off the rails a little bit more?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay.
We're here.
So I think the genre matters. Like I really do. Like for me personally, the hip hop music that I love, the hunger in the first album, these guys they never match it because afterward it's bragging.
Yeah.
After their success, it's bragging about the success that they've achieved. But the hunger on the first breakout record for a hip hop artist is unmatched, in my opinion.
Well, and you're right, and they're almost kind of pigeonholed into that because it's expected for them to like brag about the girls and the money and the cars and stuff on the next record because you can't pretend that like.
Can't pretend to be broke anymore.
Eminem can't pretend to do that on his next record.
Right.
He's one of the most famous rappers in the world. All of a sudden, you can't pretend that you're like struggling in Detroit because he's not anymore. He's freaking Dr. Dre's protege. Like you're not like it's not 8 Mile anymore. That's interesting. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think that there's probably a genre specific thing too, and it's just an interesting question because I think that I just seen
some
both
people
happen.
just kill it. And some people just fall flat on their face. And Chris, I think you may be right. Maybe it's the execution is it kind of comes with the plan. Like if the plan is to just be different, but that's your plan, probably not going to execute that well.
Well, and like you could look at someone like Jimmy Eat World that made Bleed American on their own dime,
right?
But it sounds like $1 million, and that's what it ended up like selling for probably to the record labels. I mean, they probably sold it for a good chunk of money, but it was it's exactly the album they want to make because they're financing it and they're doing it. So it is one of those weird things where I'm sure there's a million different things that come into play as far as like the label too. Sometimes the label's like, we want you to do that thing again.
Yep.
Well, hey,
and we won't let you not.
If you're an up-and-coming musician, I have great news for you. You're never going to have to worry about this because you will never have a budget again.
You have to record it in your bedroom.
Yeah.
Which
not a problem you're going to have.
It's cool that it's possible now, though. You know what I mean? Like there's a degree of like the bar has been set, like the technical bar has been set so low that now every band, you just have to have one of those guys in your band now that can do engineering and producing and stuff. And you'll have to at least be able to do some of that by yourself.
That's like one of the duties.
Yeah, it's just like someone has to do it. You gotta do it. Okay, let's go to this is wait, where are we? Forgiven. Here we go. Track 5.
One of us to speak of, but we prefer to pretend it does not exist. And you can't
Chris Monnier, what are your thoughts on the not fade out of Forgiven?
The abrupt cut.
Sorry about
No,
that.
that's fine. Dude, Blake's, he's a one-man show basically with this stuff. So it's, Dave Douglas, right? Doug Douglas.
Doug Douglas?
Dave Douglas.
It's Dave Douglas.
Doug Douglas, that would
Doug
be
Douglas.
mean. That's a cruel name.
Doug.
Doug.
That's one of his patented moves on that chorus where he lays that. It's not a 4 on the floor, but he always lays a bass drum down on the snare. He makes it sound so good. It's weird when you're learning to play drums. I don't know if it's the same with guitar and bass, but when you're learning to play drums, like you'll have a drum teacher like, oh, you never hit a bass drum with the snare, right? But it gets ingrained to you when you're a young man or woman. Like you just like, oh, that must be a rule.
Yeah.
The other rule I always heard was like, you never hit a cymbal without a snare or a bass drum. And then Joey freaking Kramer on Aerosmith was like, unless you're
Eat
Joey
the
Kramer.
rich.
And I was like, wait, so you can do it? And that's what's so weird about music. You can do whatever you want, kids.
Well, but I mean, I think there's a little bit of like, you're supposed to kind of learn the rules so that you can break them.
Right, but
Respect the rules.
But teachers never say that.
Yeah, they don't say that.
always
That's the
say,
problem.
"That's
And
always the
so,
rule."
yeah, I remember that too. That's a better way to teach music. It's like, well, this is kind of the rule, but
yeah.
rules are kind of in art. Rules are kind of meant to be broken. What are your thoughts on the track in general?
Well, and I was just saying that I always love when he does that. Nice big chorus. Matt just really stretching his songwriting prowess here. Pre-chorus on this one. The one you chose is awesome. The next one with the upstrokes, so cool. And this one's kind of got some Death Cab vibes, like an homage, not
on the verses,
copy.
especially. Yeah, well, because it's kind of
yeah.
like it's like in a minor key on the verses. It's like it's a little darker. That piano part is very cool, though.
Oh, yeah.
Almost soul meets body, although this timing's about the same.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Oh, I mean, I enjoy the song. I don't really have anything else to add to it. I like the chorus. I like that it feels a little, kind of got that anthemic vibe. Yeah, I dig it.
The verse and the chorus are a little. That transition into it works, but like it's a little bit like if you listen to the verse of this and I played the chorus of it, you would not know they're the same song. It's like such a happy kind of anthemic.
It's that minor major change, but the
that minor
contrast
major
could
stage is
not
hard.
be more. Yeah,
it's a little hard to do, but I would say that's my only kind of complaint about it is just that like that feels a little bit abrupt how they jump to it. But I like the verses and I like the chorus. It's just almost like I don't know if the transition, but it's a good song. It's a good song and very. He's got a voice that is. It's not as unique as like. I don't know. Pick a. Ben Gibbard, since you're talking about like, I mean, I can hear,
example.
I can hear that one like at any, but he does have a quality to it that I can pick it out like almost every time, and I love the raspiness of his voice, and it kind of gets to that when he's hitting those high belty notes or whatever. He's got a good rasp to his voice that I like. It's got character to it. It's not perfect, but he's a really good singer, and
Definitely.
I like when he goes for the big notes. Let's go to track 6, which is Must Have Done Something Right, another single.
First single.
Could make me a better person. You could. I gotta say is I must have done something good. Came along one day and you rearranged my life. All I gotta say is I must have done something right. Anyone could make me a better person. You could. All I gotta say is I must have done something good. Came along one day and you rearranged my life. All I gotta say is I must have done something right.
Let's see if I put a fade on it. I did something right.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, guys.
You must have done something right.
I got the fade on it. Kyle, thoughts on this just absolutely crispy pop song?
Perfect pop song. Dude, the bass line opening it up with him saying we should get jerseys. That opening line, because we'd make a good team, but yours would look better than mine because you're out of my league. I was like,
It's a good cheesy
brilliant.
lyric. And that's what I'm talking about. That's a better version of his
the
tongue-in-cheek
thing. Yes.
yes.
because it's like it's pretty cheesy at first. First
But
of all,
it's so good.
but it's purposely eye roll inducing. Like
Yes.
I imagine
exactly,
he
yes.
purposely wants the eye roll from the girl. That's just how I picture it because I love telling dad jokes because the eye roll. That's like you don't understand, ladies. That's what we're getting out of it is when you roll our eyes at us, that gives us power.
Right.
And
Like
we want to
the-
keep saying the cheesy stuff.
You must be tired from running through my mind. All
Right,
Like,
exactly.
It's supposed to be
But then
so
the fact that he
ridiculous.
says the out of my league part that takes it back to the sports metaphor is awesome.
It's awesome.
And you're right. Opening with the bass is a cool bass and shaker, I think, or
Super
tambourine.
cool. Yeah. It's the perfect pop song.
It's a
man.
great pop
It is
song.
so good, and I love that down part that we were all rocking when it came back in together.
Yeah.
I love I don't know what the technical term is, but there's something rhythmically about that chorus that I love, where they hit the big on coming out of the bridge.
It's they're hitting like a big 3/4,
Yeah.
3,
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Everything's on that.
Love it.
We're just gonna loop that part with us singing all the parts with our mouth.
We're also
like that
into
little
the Beach Boys.
Yes.
the glockenspiel bells or whatever
Awesome.
going the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it. What I like about it is that some bands add all that crap because someone told them they needed to, and this is clearly like, hey, Matt's talented and can play 1,000 instruments. Apparently, why don't we put freaking bells on this
Well, and
soaring background vocals?
We can go straight from Beach Boys to palm muted guitar.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Which, okay, someone told me this, and I'm going to have to research this. Someone told me he doesn't play with a pick.
Yeah, that's
true?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He just plays
Thumb.
with his thumb the whole time. But I'm like, how does he get that like in studio too and everything? Like he must have a callus like
He's
that
got
is-
those long fingernails or something.
Creepy cocaine.
know.
Cocaine thumbnail.
Maybe he does. I mean, because
That's my secret, you guys. You guys want to start a restaurant?
but that's such a weird thing to me because like I would get if he was finger picking all the time or something, but there's not a lot of that going on in any of this Relient K stuff.
No, it's pop punk, palm muting.
It's pop punk, and he's like
power chord.
doing it with his thumb apparently.
I just have a picture in my head now. Thanks
doing
to you,
cocaine
Chris.
off it?
Well, not even that, but you guys want to start a restaurant? Like, here, let me feed you this food. Giant thumbnail hanging over it. Super glued together from playing every
We're
night.
not a Christian band. We're Christians in a cocaine doing.
yeah.
in a cocaine doing band. That's the best.
You can still sell a record at Mardell. It's okay.
Yep.
Chris, what other opinions do you have about this
The
pop song?
I mean, you guys already said it. Bass line slaps. This song is freaking adorable. Yeah.
I love the
the clap,
line,
clap.
and I'm racking my brain for a new, improved way to let you know you're more to me than what I know how to say. It's just like a fun, like it's really good.
It's so many syllables, and it should not work. And it's just
Well, and what's
Butter.
funny is that he doesn't find a new way.
He doesn't say it.
He doesn't find the way to say it.
Yeah,
like that's
it's
what's
great.
even better. I don't know. I just think it's a really he writes really good. You're right, kind of first of the relationship almost,
it's so cliche.
and giving that kind of feeling that which is everyone knows it's the most fun.
It's the only good part.
Pure.
We need to do this. We need to do this on Good Video, Bad Video because I remember the video, but I don't remember it.
Well, we will do
We're
it.
done.
We will do it as a promotional for this episode.
Yeah,
Okay,
alright.
we will.
That's a good idea.
We will record that video. I think that's a good idea. I think it's just a really good. I love a fun love song.
Yep.
I like a serious one too, but a fun love song it just makes me feel like the first couple months I was dating my wife or something.
Yeah.
So it's a good feeling. Any other thoughts, fellas? On
No,
this?
I'm glad you mentioned the opening line, Kyle, because I mean, yeah, it is. Oh wait, where's you, Blake?
It was
jerseys.
Kyle.
Yeah,
that's
so good.
That's a really good. But it's like just cheesy enough.
Oh yeah.
But I remember that line so much. I remember exactly where I was the first time I heard it because I
Totally.
was driving like through Bethany, Oklahoma, when I not the first time I heard it, but the first time I noticed it.
Right.
You're like brilliant.
I was like, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's a little cheesy, but you can't be mad about it.
Nope.
You're just like, yeah, I like it. Okay, let's go to Give Until There's Nothing Left. Here we go, track 7.
Something's got to give until there's nothing else, until it all runs out, and I'll have no regrets. I'll give until there's nothing left. Until there's nothing else.
Chris Monnier, what are your thoughts on Give Until There's Nothing Left?
This chorus is amazing. That is so catchy and pure and beautiful, and he's got too many tricks up his sleeves. I feel like this song is magic. The chord progression on that chorus is perfect. The way it hits. What you said there was a bell or something? There's
There's definitely a big bell at the beginning of it. It's at the background vocals. I mean something we've not talked about yet. Matt's falsetto.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Creamy.
Oh, it's so good.
Real good.
And to have that kind of rasp when he goes for it, and then it's like the voice of an angel when he goes to that falsetto. And I love that bridge, obviously. I love a good bridge, and I feel like we haven't talked about. I've been trying not to do every single clip with a bridge.
That one deserved it.
But that one deserves it. That's a great building bridge. And I love the literally building up to the falsetto. It literally just walks up. And, and it's just a really good melody. He's got a knack for it. Kyle, what are your thoughts on this
I
song?
have nothing to add that you guys haven't said. I'll just say it kicks butt. Great song.
In a very polite, soft, sweet way.
Oh,
Kicks
yeah.
butt, right? I feel like there's a lyric I want to talk about on this, but now I've totally forgotten it. So I'll just pretend that I remembered it. Let's go to track 8, Devastation and Reform.
But there be no story without all this dissension. So I inflict the conflict with the utmost of intention. So lock the windows and bolt the door. 'Cause I got enough problems without creating more. I feel like I was born for devastation and reform. Destroy everything I love, and the worst part is I'll pull my heart out, reconstruct.
Kyle, what are your thoughts on this rocker?
It's a rocker. I mean, it's another, like, there are a couple reminders on this record, like, hey, we can still rock. And
bring the noise.
I do think I don't need it anymore. But at the time this record came out, I did need those reminders that they could rock. Like, I'm not saying that's why they did it. I think they just did it because they wanted to and they could.
Yeah.
But 2007, much younger Kyle needed to feel like they could still rock. And they definitely did that with this one. And also, the lyrics are amazing. I feel like I was born for devastation and reform. What does he say? Destroying everything I love, and the worst part is.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, just.
Well, and what's interesting,
excellent.
in 3 songs in a row, we go from like just the cheesiest pop love song to like a ballad kind of love song to like this rocker of like, but it doesn't ever feel like they're all over the place.
No.
But it's like, if I describe those 3 songs,
They are.
It all sounds like Relient K.
Yeah.
I recognize it all as Relient K. And somehow the glue of those guys together in a band make those 3 songs in a row work.
Yeah.
And it feels fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. Chris, do you have any thoughts on this track?
Guitars just
Yeah, a lot of good
bringing
stuff.
the noise. I feel like the bridge of this one's actually
I love it.
yeah,
Where it goes all
Thank
the
You,
way down.
God. Yeah, okay. I was
It
all the
was
way
a
down
single, by the
piano.
way.
It was, and this is a great example of what I was talking about.
Yeah.
How they like the dynamics
Right,
of this
right.
record is really
Yeah.
good. That's a great bridge.
Yeah,
I hesitate because I did the
No,
bridge
it's
for the
all-
last
it's all
one. I was
right.
like, I can't do a bridge too. And plus, it's a rocker. I wanted the rock part.
it to me it also was one of that Christian element. It was one of the things we were talking about at the beginning, and he has like the "Thank You God" line in the bridge, and but it's again, it's just like he's just like thanking God. He's not.
That's
it's not a Christian song,
Yeah.
It's just a man
Right, and
doing
that's
his thing.
To me, that's the way to do it. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like write
Absolutely.
what's true. Like write,
It's
Be
true. It doesn't
normal.
feel
just write what you
forced.
feel.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Just don't be weird.
Don't be weird.
I think people genuinely appreciate that, even if they don't agree with what you feel. Right?
Yes.
I think if you're genuine
Well-
about it, it comes across as genuine. People are like, I like that.
And on the extreme other end of that, when you have music that's labeled as Christian music and you get people that are only concerned with writing something that's Christian, dude, truly some of the worst things I've ever heard in a song came from that.
Also, some really
Like,
bad theology too. Sometimes,
but I'm
there's
like
some bad stuff.
like I'm gonna tell a quick story. It's
all means.
awful, but it fits into this.
Quick and awful. Love it.
Steve filled in. Steve Lunsford, drummer extraordinaire, filled in for this band that was like they were a Christian band. That was their thing, and he was like. I went and picked him up because he did this gig to help someone while we were touring.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
like Went and picked him up, and he's like, dude, you are never going to believe what just happened. And he tells me to put the CD in, and this band is singing. I'm going to go to hell for telling this story.
I doubt it.
Worth it. This band sings, they're talking about God. He's coming all over me. He's about to be coming all over you.
Wait,
and like,
what?
And the thing is, they're talking
know
about
what they were doing, right?
No. Well, yes, but this is what I'm talking about. Like when it goes to the extreme of like we've got to make something Christian, there's also this thing that comes with that that's like we've got to pretend like we don't have any kind of worldly dirty mind, and like somebody in that room when they recorded it was like, this is a very bad idea. And
maybe not though.
And no, someone was.
Kyle's like, somebody heard it.
Somebody heard it. And
Or maybe the guy who
all of
mastered it,
them were too worried about being Christian to say, hey, this sounds dirty. Like my mind's not dirty enough to pick up on this.
That's
like
pretty bad.
that's how the committees in churches. You know what I mean? Like it's like the have you seen the light
it's like
switches?
3 levels because it's so filthy, but nobody can admit that they know that it's filthy. That is trippy.
Have
dude.
you seen the light switches that used to be in like children's church, and it's like Jesus with his hands around kids, and the light switch is perfectly placed where his.
But nobody can say like, hey, that's where Jesus' wiener is.
No one on the Christian committee no one wanted to be the person that saw a dick in the light switch.
That is not my church parent, because one time one of our pastors accidentally kind of was like drawing on something, and all of us were texting him like we were all like getting our phones out like we're texting him this later.
Every church needs a resident heathen to just come in, like I said, you're like, hey, that's a dick.
And that's what I mean when I say be normal. You're saying be genuine, like
just like
the cost of like not being that. It's just too weird. Weird stuff happens, and like
I said, if you're genuine about it, because I mean, like, I don't think anyone is accusing him of not being genuine in any of these lyrics about any of the stuff he's singing about. So if he's genuine about the sappy pop song, like, I believe him in this bridge too. You know what I mean? Like,
also, can I just say, I'm not sorry for what I said. I am sorry some of you had to hear it. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I wish I could have been in the car when Steve told you that story.
He was shook. He was like, dude, I don't like, and you know what? It just keeps happening. It's a chain reaction.
Right.
Because Steve had to pretend like he didn't hear it.
I would not have been able to do it.
Oh, me neither.
Absolutely no way.
I mean, I would have been giggling the whole time. So.
I literally put on our Instagram.
Kyle would have been like, really, guys? Really? We all know what that means.
I literally did it on Instagram when I was like, new episodes are coming. And I literally made this joke like yesterday.
Yeah.
Or I mean, weeks ago, because we're recording this whenever this album comes out, not 3 weeks ago. Let's go to track 9, right? Is that where we're at? Yeah. I'm taking you with me. Gosh, here we go. Kyle, thoughts?
Man, this one has like a soaring vibe to me. It's another start of a relationship. I'm falling in love, and it just so happens that at this time in my life, 2007, I was in the beginning stages of dating, maybe almost getting. Let's see. No, I was married.
We're gonna have to edit that out.
No. I can pivot. I was just married, you know, and it was great.
Life, right?
It was great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, it's just he's really good at writing kind of wholesome love songs, and like that sounds that could probably be taken like I'm saying it's bad, but no, I dig it. Like I relate. It makes me feel good every time I listen to it. So
Yeah.
I like the instrumentation of this one a lot. Like the chorus, it's got that great piano part going on the dun, 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 like on the quarter notes, and then the drums are actually pretty cool. On this record,
he's an incredible drummer. Some of those parts on Mmhmm are incredibly complex.
Dave
and
Douglas.
He's one of the few drummers that can pull off the forbidden beat and make it sound so mathematically perfect.
well, yeah, I mean,
Which he does there for like what? But
like
a
for
millisecond. Yeah.
one beat of one measure, he goes. Don't
forget I can do
does
this.
a quick, just a little stutter step in there real quick.
This whole album is just them reminding us, like, hey, we can do cool
still-
stuff, you
we
guys.
can still rock.
Just don't
Yep.
forget.
We still got it.
I love anytime we get a scratch guitar on the
yeah.
eighth notes going into a chorus,
Yeah,
that's a good idea. Just in general.
never fails. You just can't do it too much.
No. It's you gotta be sparing with it. You can't do it on every song, or you get in trouble. Do you have any other thoughts, Chris, on Taking You With Me?
No, I agree with Kyle. The chorus just epically soaring, the chord structure, and it production wise, they somehow like made it feel really open and.
You know what else I like about
you already did it. He said it.
Matt, and I didn't really think about this until I've been like thinking about the melody after we play the clip. So many people write songs where they write it's the same. I mean, this is just a common thing in pop music. It's like you write a melody and you just change the chord underneath it, but you keep singing the same melody over and over again. So
Yes.
I'm trying to think of a good example now, and I'm not going to be able to think of one at all. But like, anyway, that happens all the time where it's like the melody. If you sang the melody, it would be the same, and it'd be very boring if you did not have the music underneath it. And so it doesn't work very well for like a song that like you're gonna just like sing out loud. But
Right.
all of his are like melodies that would stand by themselves for the most part, even if there was no music underneath it. Like that's a great melody.
Yep.
And you would recognize it regardless of the chords underneath it. I just think that takes it's harder work. I'm not disparaging the other kind of pop song because some of the best ones we've ever had do that kind of thing. And it's totally fine, but it is a lot easier because you're singing, you came up with one melody and you sang it 4 times in the chorus,
right?
As opposed to like going, well, I'm going to build to
Yep.
this last line. And I just think that he does a really good job of taking the road of the road less traveled and writing the harder melody that's still really good.
Yep.
I just think he's good at that. Good talent. You know, we always talk about people's superpower, and I think that's his superpower, is that he's really, really good at writing cool, fun melodies. Okay, let's go to Faking My Own Suicide.
Your love for me was more than 6 feet deep. You say aloud that you would have been my wife. And right about that time is when I come back to life and let you know. I'd let you know that all along I was faking my own suicide. Because I know you loved me, you just never realized I was faking my own suicide. I walk in that room, see your eyes open so wide.
Kyle, you're like giggling as we play the clip the whole time. This is going to be a fun one.
This song, I do love it.
Yeah.
It is so dark.
It's very...
It is so dark. Like, and it. I know why they did the production on it the way they did, because it's so dark. It had to have that. It is just like, it is such a sick fantasy that he's singing about, and also, I giggle every single time. Like, they'll have to hold a double funeral because a part of you will die along with me.
Right, yeah. It's like this really optimistic view of what will happen.
And honestly, it's kind of like the Paramore record that we did, the Crazy Girl song.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Like, he is being psychotic in this song.
right.
Like, what he is suggesting is insane.
Crazy.
I'm going to pretend that I'm dead so I can watch you be sad at my funeral, and you'll realize that you actually loved me. Insanity. And I love the song.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. One, I'm wondering, were you into the vibe of like the pedal steel and stuff?
No.
Then you were probably not.
But the thing is, this was a Matthew Thiessen and the Earthquake song before.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
I
I don't
believe
even know what Matthew Thiessen and the Earthquakes is.
I didn't even know this existed.
Man.
Okay.
I'll send you some.
Okay.
I need to double check that. I will
Okay.
between songs, but I'm pretty sure this came out as Matthew Thiessen and the Earthquakes, or whatever Matt Thiessen was doing, little teeny solo EP thing. I'm pretty sure it was on that before, and I prefer that version. It's a little less country. But it's a hilarious, sick joke.
You know what's funny about it is, okay, like it's weird because there are parts like I love this song. Like I think I love the pedal steel stuff. I think that last kind of chorus where he kind of belts a little bit more and he's like, walk in the room, see your eyes open so wide, and then he goes into that kind of like post-chorus thing, and you'll realize that you'll never leave my side, and it's kind of like this really sweet. It's like a sweet song, but it's also psychotic.
Oh man!
But you know what? Like, would you think it was psychotic if it was something other than suicide? If it was just like I faked my own death, but death didn't fit in that 3-syllable thing. It's almost like
suicide has a feel. Has a
yeah,
whole
you're
other
right.
Feel.
You know, you're right. It is.
If it was fake my own death, it would not be as bad.
Yeah.
The suicide part makes it especially
well, because like it's Huckleberry Finn faked his death.
Yeah.
It was cute.
Yeah.
It was.
He didn't kill himself.
It was released as a demo for Matthew Thiessen and the Earthquakes before it was put on this record. So yeah, that was right.
Okay.
But it's weird because it is like a dark, like that would be a crazy thing to do, right? And it's all, and I think that's the point. I think the point is like this is insane.
That's the joke.
That's the
Right.
joke.
No, right.
But it's like such
Doesn't
a
make it
sweet
not
song
dark.
at the same time. It's weird that it's super dark, but it's kind of sweet.
So dark.
It's definitely a weird one. I would love to know if that's what happened though. If it was like, was it really just about death, but you couldn't fit a word for death in to the syllables you wanted?
It's dark and weird enough that I feel conflicted about liking it as much as I do.
Me too, because the suicide part is
It's
dark.
heavy.
It's heavy. I mean, like that's the worst possible scenario, right? I mean, there's
not a good joke.
not you can, but and plus, I'm like my favorite part about it is that like the plan in this person's mind,
The plot of jumping
is perfect,
up,
right? And then come out, people would be furious.
Oh,
can you imagine?
That
exactly.
doesn't end well.
He's proposing that this will work.
Right.
It would not.
It wouldn't work. It's insanity.
But like, I want to know: is that the commentary? Is he trying to say that like this is how people really think? Is that like this is the kind of crazy stuff that people think will work and it won't really work, or is it just so tongue in cheek that it's just like a throwaway thing? It's just the lyrics that came out. It's hard to know with him because sometimes he's so deep and sometimes he's so like just kind of clearly writing the lyric that kind of catches your ear.
Right.
It's sort of like an earworm, but lyrics wise, it's not just about melody. There's like also this sense of like the Jerseys line is like, that's a fun line and it's a fun twist on it. You're out of my league.
What's funny is like, I don't remember them like catching any heat for it.
I think because it's good.
Yeah.
Maybe,
again.
but like, I remember getting a CD pulled off of a Christian bookstore because I was wearing a Metallica shirt on the cover. So like, I feel like this is heavy enough that maybe someone should have been
there
concerned.
were different rules depending on who caught what. I mean,
you're right.
Mardell sold the Cooties album and they said hell in it.
Yep.
How could they? Anyway,
that's what stars.
Chris, do you have any thoughts on faking
Nah,
my?
you guys nailed it.
I mean, it's in the title too. That's the other
I
crazy
know.
thing. Is
I
they
know
titled
it.
the song "Faking My Own Suicide," but it's a great song. But I do sometimes wish I'm like, God, I wish they could have found a 3-syllable word for just faking my own car accident. Faking my own. I don't know. There's just a lot of different ways that would be, but none of them would be a good idea. I mean, they would all end in the same disaster. But maybe that's the idea.
No, but I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. Because like I'm thinking about your theory because suicide is such a heavy thing, not a funny joke at all. But also like, let's replace it with heart attack. Still not funny.
Faking my own heart attack.
Doesn't have the same
it is
ring,
3
though.
syllables.
Suicide has a nice
Suicide does
the word.
But I think maybe it's because like the point of is that this is such an insane thing to say that I might as well go with the most insane way I would fake my own death.
Yeah.
Because how could you? First of all, it doesn't even make any sense. But like, none of it does. Anyway, I really do like the song. Though.
Me too.
It actually is.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, it really.
It's so dark that it's funny. It's great.
It's super hilarious to like envision this crazy person imagining a scenario that this works.
Right.
Very funny, very dark.
It's very dark. It is like it's like an Always Sunny in Philadelphia plot or something.
It is. It's an Always Sunny plot. You're exactly right, dude.
It kind of is. I mean, that's kind of perfect. You're right. Or George Costanza or something.
Yeah.
It does sound kind of like that. Yeah. Okay. So maybe it works. Maybe he knows exactly what he's doing. Anyway, I do really like the song. It's kind of weird. Okay. We're going to play this next one just because why the heck would we
What clip
not?
did you pick?
To
Well,
hear all
yeah.
of it.
We get to hear all of it. Here we go. Oh, that was the wrong one. Here we go.
I just wasted 10 seconds of your life.
Yes, but I think that's a harp in the background.
I know.
Really?
It is.
I think it's a harp.
Yes, that's the funniest part about it is they.
So I have
They added
a little
a harp.
I have a little beef with this song.
That's okay. What's the
It's
beef?
beef's gonna be
12
longer than the
seconds,
song.
and 12 is the same amount of syllables as 10.
But don't you think it's like he wrote the song and it's really just the fate? It's just the
Maybe,
end of
but
it.
still, it's like, come on, man.
Wait. Play here. Let me play it again.
It
I'll
is 12
start.
seconds. It's
No,
but
like,
just
maybe
from the
it's-
okay. Here we
hold
go.
on. Let me get ready.
Okay, get your stopwatch ready.
do this.
Wait. Okay, I'm gonna start the second I hear a noise.
I'll just say on your mark, get set. Here we go. On your mark, get set.
I just wasted
I'll make it a surprise.
10 seconds of your life.
9.67. That's what I'm saying. It's just the fade out of the piano.
Okay.
But
All is forgiven.
Benson should have been like, you got to change it to 12
Yeah.
because it's actually 12
It
seconds
would've
with the
fit.
piano fade.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Well, this is Mark Lee Townsend, remember?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot,
It's
Mark.
Mark Lee. You got 3 names and you couldn't get the seconds right.
Dang, dude.
That means he's a serial killer, doesn't it?
I think that's exactly.
That's always what it means. If you have 3 names. John Wayne
That's what it
Gacy.
means. So we had to do that. It's
Just
track
hasn't been caught
11.
yet.
Crowns Can Melt on Us for All I Care, which I don't really know what the title means, but there it is. All right, let's go to Bite My Tongue, track 12.
Found meaning in this life, so I swallow up my pride and give you control. Give it to you. But I gotta keep quiet, don't let it all come undone. 'Cause if I dare open my mouth, it'll just be to bite my tongue. I gotta keep quiet, listen to your voice. Because the power of your words can repair.
Chris Monnier, thoughts on Bite My Tongue?
What is going on with this song? It's so different. It's great.
Yeah.
But it's got a complete. It's like a different band's playing this song.
It's huge.
The guitar effects sound weird. I mean, like I was thinking, does this almost sound? It almost feels like kind of an homage to some of the bigger, more popular emo punk rock bands. Like
Totally.
like if you were to like mix in a pot, like Saves the Day, Brand New, Blink-182, kind of all together.
it's
right.
it's a Blink 182-esque song
Right?
completely.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Yeah.
but an homage, not a carbon copy.
Right. I'm trying to think. Do they do halftime a lot on the rest of this? I don't feel like they do a lot of
No.
halftime. There's halftime on most of this, and yeah, it does feel a little bit different than the rest of this record. To me.
I mean, I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either,
No,
but it does
this
feel.
isn't criticism. It's
No,
just
yeah.
an observation.
No, I agree. It feels distinctly different.
Yeah.
I do love those guitars going into that just
yeah.
the noise, just
Oh, yeah.
like,
And the picking.
weird stuff going on. Yeah, and then
The thumbnail picking.
the thumbnail picking apparently.
Oh, apparently.
Again, I don't understand. He must have the most calloused thumb or something.
Thick boy.
No.
Now,
Not that.
now I'm hearing the Social Distortion song with a lisp. Thick boy,
Thick
he's got
boy.
tattoos on his arm.
Oh no, that's pretty good. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, it feels a little slightly maybe out of place or something, but not like in a major way. It still sounds like them, but it does feel like.
Well, it's funny that Chris
quite the
says
same
that
as the
because
rest.
I've always thought that it sounded like the most like another big pop punk band at the time, and it does make me wonder like is it possible that on this one that they were pushed like, hey, this is your major label debut.
It wasn't a single though, right?
No,
I mean, it's
no, but I mean like
Been forced to put it on
let's
there.
do
like,
let's try
do
one like this. Let's do
Try
you know
one. Yeah.
so
Maybe there's even a ghostwriter. Who knows?
I doubt. I mean, yeah, there's just a few things that like I don't love that they start with that guitar, that lead guitar, that
Yeah.
on the track. It feels like they could have just come right in. I don't know. It's just the only one that I don't like. Not the only one.
I do love the lyrics to it.
Yeah, it's good.
The what is it? Let me find it. I've never broken bones with a stone or a stick, but I'll conjure up a phrase that can cut to the quick.
I bet he can.
Yeah.
As good as he
And
is.
he did.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great line. Yeah, that's absolutely a great lyric. Which I was way too old to understand what that was. The quick. I mean, like, I like didn't know what people were saying for. I don't know. I guess I didn't have Google until I was
like
in my
Jeeves
30s.
nail bed, right?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a nail thing. Yeah, it's like
It's not good.
Getting it down there. Oof.
I didn't know what that
hurts.
was. I thought it was like a candle thing for some reason. Like, well, I was
Oh, that's
confusing
a
it with a
wick.
wick or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. A quick. Maybe I thought people were. I don't know. It's one of those things I was a little.
I only know
like,
because
how did I
of
not know this?
dogs, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Because you're not supposed to cut the quick. The dog, because on a dog, it's like
Yes.
Okay.
The blood comes out.
That's what happened to my dog earlier. Okay, let's
nail
go to.
blood. Gross.
Yeah, we don't want any of that. Okay, let's go to track 13, which is Up and Up. Here we go.
To be content with where I am and getting where I need to be, and moving past the past where I have failed. But I'm finally catching on to it. Yeah, the past is just a conduit, and right there at the end is where I'll be. Oh, 'cause I'm on the up and up. I'm on the up and up. And I haven't given up.
Oh, yeah.
So cool.
Kyle, let's go to you. Up and Up.
I love this song. It's spoiler. It's one of my favorites. It's
All time or just on the record?
on the record. It's
Okay.
one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorites of theirs.
It's just got this. I love the lyrics. I love that little synth that we just heard barely. It's so quiet, like, and I admire stuff like that so much when it works because I'm not personally a believer in it. Like when I'm in the studio, if I want to add something, it's because I want it to be heard.
yeah.
And so like to have those the ear candy in this that like truly you don't catch it on the first or fifth time that you listen to it. You almost have to have headphones on. There are lots of good lines in this song.
There's a lot of them, yeah. I'm
But
looking at them right now, too.
yeah. Find some goodies.
Well, I just like the oh wait, hold on. And the light there at the end is where I'll be. I just think it's a good. I don't know. It's just finally catching on to it. Yeah, the past is just a conduit.
The past is just a conduit. That's a great.
Yeah.
It's just a feel good song.
I like I like the general optimism of it, and I love the verses. The verses are perfect. That syncopated piano that's on the offbeats the whole time. I would like to just hear that track isolated. That piano sounds so good in my ears that I just want to be like, oh, can I just get that alone in my? I don't know. I just really like the sound of the piano. I think those verses are genius. I love the way the piano is moving around on it. I really like the choruses. It's simple. I'm on the up and up. I haven't given up. What I'm capable of or whatever. I like it. I think it's a good optimistic song. And it really is one of my favorites of theirs. It's really like a song that I've listened to a lot.
It's great.
Chris, what are your thoughts on Up and Up?
You guys kind of said it. And honestly, even though I absolutely love this song, it was always hard for me to get too far deep into it because the next song is kind of life-changingly epic.
Yeah, it's real good.
But yes, it's definitely a tune that, it kind of has an odd place on the record because it's, I don't know, the second to last song is always reserved for some interesting moments, but I almost feel like this one could be pushed up a little. It's a great song.
It is, and it's, yeah, I mean, it really is one of my favorites on the record. It's one of my favorites of theirs. I think it does lead in pretty well as like a penultimate song in the next one.
Maybe that's you got it in there.
It got it in there. Got that penultimate word in there. So I guess that does bring us to the last track, which is going to be fun to talk about because I picked a little more than 30 seconds.
You did? Okay.
But not
Kinda have to,
because
yeah.
it's an 11-minute song,
It's an
and
opus.
I mean, but like even finding 1 minute of this song that kind of encapsulates
Not enough.
what's going on. So here's my suggestion: if you're listening to the podcast right now, I really think you should pause this and go listen to the entire song.
Yep.
And then it's such a good epic song. So we'll play a little clip and then we'll talk about it some more. But or you can go listen to the whole thing and then you can hear us talk about it some more. So here's the last track, which is Deathbed.
But this is my deathbed. find myself. It's your typical spiel. Yeah, if life was a highway,
I mean, that was 1 minute.
Yeah.
And
Not enough.
It's not enough.
Never
It's
enough.
not enough. I mean, where do we even start talking about this song? I mean, I think here's a good place to start, I think. Going back to talking about first impressions of the record, the first impression of this song, I think, is important too, because you're like, wait a minute, there's
Yeah.
an 11-minute song at the
Yep.
end of this record. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Kyle, go.
Okay, so I think you use superlatives when it comes to this song. I don't think I've heard I don't think a song has taken me on a more epic journey than this song.
Yeah.
Like I really don't think a song has ever made me feel things or like just completely told a story that I felt like I was in. I mean, it's like every time I listen to it, it's full blown horripilation, goosebumps, glossy eyes. Like
Yeah.
it's epic. And not, I think sometimes when
In like an
songs-
Odyssey.
that exactly not
Like in an actual,
not
like-
in like a and there are things that are grand about it, but
For sure.
like it's just in the sense that like we are told this full story. We go on this journey with this guy through his entire life, death, afterlife, and it is beautiful. Like it is the most epic song that I can think of, and I don't have the right words for it, but like no song has I don't think any other song has quite made me feel like this song has made me feel.
I think it's like you said epic a couple times, and it does feel like a Bohemian Rhapsody or scenes from an Italian restaurant, or I mean, it really does feel like one of these songs where it's like 8 songs in one.
Yeah.
But what makes it different than some of those other songs is that as much as I like, or Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, or like any of these kind of songs that have like these very long things, multiple parts, tells a whole story kind of thing. But on top of that, he's like not only telling a story through the whole thing, and I like that we immediately know it's not him because it's like the year's 1921 or whatever,
Yeah.
the years were 41 or whatever. And so we know it's not him. We know he's like telling a story, and not only does he tell this story the whole time, like everything in the song, what musically is going on, is going along with the story that's going on. So that line, the reason I picked that clip, I was like, where am I going to pick a minute out of this song? But going to a line that says the union was far from harmonious, with just cutting to basically a cappella
Yes.
harmonies.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then as he gets into that, the grasp of his voice, like from there,
Yep.
it's your typical spiel. I mean, it's like, he's like, everything about the way he sings it, everything that's going on instrumentally and
Perfect.
background vocal and the horns and even the swell into the hopeful part at the end. It's like all the bad stuff that happens. And
Oh,
then it
John
gets
Foreman shout out.
John Foreman
Yeah.
at the end of it, playing the part of Jesus.
Yeah, John Foreman is Jesus.
Cool.
I just picture it.
Who else did you think was going to play it?
Who else could
like-
play it?
Yeah. So ruggedly handsome.
And it's like a perfect choice too, because like John Foreman's voice is really like his falsetto is also fantastic
Yeah.
that he goes into that. And I don't know. I just like, I can't describe this song with words in the sense that like, I remember just being like floored by the fact that it's an 11-minute song that never feels like, I love Goodbye
Doesn't
Sky
feel
Harbor.
tedious.
It's 16 minutes long, but clearly the point of that was like, we're going to use a whole roll of tape.
Right.
And we're going to like,
We're
and
gonna
it's
do a
cool.
loopy-loop.
It's interesting. They're doing adding stuff every once in a while. They're doing it in weird measures and stuff. And I enjoy listening to it,
Yeah.
but it's not an epic in the sense that it's not like it doesn't take me on a journey the whole time. Cause basically after the first 3 minutes, it's kind of a repetition. They're adding parts and taking stuff away. This is like a straight up, like he wrote an epic. I don't know how mapping this out in Pro Tools alone would
Dude.
take you a day. I feel like.
Also, like this song commands your attention. Like it has my full attention when it's on. This is a everyone shut up while it's on.
including him walking into the
Yes.
piano and sitting
Yes.
down, and you hear all the start of the song too.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that it's so good. And we're just talking about John Foreman, and like it's so good. The story is so good. Matt's performance is so good, and John Foreman's performance is brilliant. Like the way that it ends. Like, listen, for I am love, am love, and then the way they end that last line,
With the strings.
oh gosh, it's beautiful.
And we should mention Matt's playing all the horns.
Yes.
on this.
The ascension part?
Yes.
Oh man.
I mean, it's like, it really, like, I don't know that I know of a song, and I don't feel like this is being hyperbolic or whatever. Hyperbolic. How do you say that? Hyperbolic, whatever. I don't know. To say that, like, I can't think of a song that the lyrics and the story and the music and everything goes together as well as this does. Because even those other epic kind of songs we talked about, like, there's not really some, like, there's a story in Scenes from an Italian Restaurant for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like not on the scale that this is,
Right.
for sure. And
Yeah,
that's like
Johnny
that's a great
Cash
song.
writes story songs, but this
Right.
this is different. Yeah. Well, it's a mini musical.
Yes.
It's a mini rock opera.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And done really well.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I think I teared up the first time I heard
Oh,
it.
God.
I felt
It's-
like I knew this
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And the first time, like, it wasn't, I didn't even understand what was going on. And all of a sudden I was like involved in the story. It's like I was watching a movie.
Yeah, totally.
Well, and especially because back then, I'm pretty sure we had the van that didn't have, like, we were listening to, if it was
Yeah.
on your iPod,
This
you
is
had
Red
to
Van.
listen on your headphones.
Yeah.
You couldn't, we didn't have a tape adapter or an aux. So it's like, I listened to this in headphones a lot because it was on my iPod. And so I had these, in-ears in. So, I mean, I feel like it's a really intimate thing if you, like, listen to this song in headphones.
Yeah.
And I think that it's incredibly underrated. I think this was the thing that made me go, okay, I'm all in on this band. I already was already a
definitely.
thing where I was like, I'm paying attention. The rest of this record is like, I really like it. I'm paying attention. This is the song that makes me go like, I am going to get every Relient K record from now on, unless he just starts totally blowing it. But I can't imagine how someone that writes this song could blow it.
And he hasn't.
Yep.
And they haven't. That's kind of like maybe the best point I can put on it, is just that to me it was such like a Matt's a serious musician, songwriter. It's not like it to me. This completely abandoned the old kitschy, tongue-in-cheek. And even though this song has those kind of lyrics in it that are great, like, he's still really good at that, like the shotgun, like inquiring with the barrel of a gun. Yeah, it's like, that's a great line about like 8 months before my wife would give birth. Like, he still does these really fun little lyrics, or if life was a highway, I was drunk at the wheel. Like,
I drive it all night long.
Yeah. There's all these little lyrics that are still like, it's not like he's abandoning who he was, but he's maturing and evolving. And to me, this just was like such a stamp of, hey, like, we're a serious band. This is serious stuff. And you're right. It's like, it gives you chills and makes you tear up. And I can't think of a song that's done that better at this scale. I've got a lot of songs that are 3 or 4 minutes long that are great songs, and normally it's mostly a musical thing that gives me the chills. So when you combine it with the lyrics, to me, it's just like a perfect package. I think it's a perfect song, and I think more people should be aware of it.
Yeah.
You're talking about great lines, him doing his thing. I bowled about 6 times a week. The bottle of Beam kept the memories for me. The marriage had taken a 7-10 split.
Yep.
Like,
That's a good one. Yeah.
he's
He's good at bringing it back to the thing he was talking about. I just like it. And I like, I've never been good at it, but I like when someone can write like a storytelling song that sounds like first person, but it's obviously not. And I just wonder where the idea came from. I wonder if they thought he was crazy when he was like, I want to do an 11-minute epic. Because what was the demo of this? I don't know.
Right.
I mean, like, I would love to know, like,
Yeah.
what was the demo? Like, how much of this was fleshed out in his head? Like, I want to see like a behind the music for just this song.
It's a good idea. It almost seems like a storyboard.
I mean, yeah, Matt, bring it to us. Give us a behind the scenes of how you wrote this song, because I'm just so curious. I found a couple articles when I was kind of looking into it, because I was like, surely people have written about this, right? I'm not the only one that feels this. And I did find a couple publications that were like, this is quietly the best song anyone wrote,
dude,
in the 2000s.
I don't know that there's a song that I've introduced to people more.
Yeah.
Like, hey, have you ever heard this song? No. Oh, well, you're gonna. You know what I mean?
We're
Like,
gonna sit here and I'm gonna watch
Yes.
you listen to it for 11 minutes.
Let me tell you what you're doing for the next 11 minutes.
No,
Yeah.
it's very different. It's not like, oh, it's a really good song. It's like, no, this is like nothing you've ever heard before.
Yeah. No, this is life changing.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a really good song.
Your whole life will be defined. Like a line.
We're about to
Before
bookmark
you
your
listen to
life.
this and after.
So yeah, I mean, like we're talking about album length, and that's an important thing. Like I feel like to bring up because this is a 14-track long record, which is already maybe 4 songs longer than some records.
right.
Now, one of them, to be fair, is 10 seconds long. So let's call it 13 track record, and one of them is 11 minutes long. So I appreciate the ambition on it. I appreciate that they went for it, and
it still clocks in under an hour.
I know. Well, that's because like you're still writing pop songs. They're
songs,
still all like 3 or 4 minutes long, even though the last one's 11 minutes. Any other thoughts about Deathbed? I mean, I'm sure we could sit here and talk about it all night. But okay, let's go to like kind of some wrap ups. Does it hold up? Is there any disagreement?
No
that
doubt
it does?
that it does.
It holds up.
No doubt it holds
Or
up.
it does, excuse me. No doubt
It
that
absolutely does.
Yeah.
Is it their best album? I'm more curious about your opinion, Kyle. I feel like you get to jump in first.
So, I think for me personally, Forget and Not Slow Down is their best. Lyrically, he is at his best. And you mentioned it, I don't remember what episode it was, but you mentioned that like sometimes, it was the fun or the format episode.
Okay.
Sometimes someone going through a heavy breakup, like sometimes their pain is our pleasure.
Which is on Forget and Not Slow Down.
Forget
for
and Not
sure.
Slow Down is that record. Like,
Yeah.
I think he was engaged and the engagement ended. And well, we're going to do that record.
For sure we'll do that record.
It is so good. And what I love about that record is it's good in different ways. Like, I think I may like this record and more musically, but as far as where he gets lyrically and just some of the things that he writes on that record, it's my favorite.
I think I might agree with you, even though, God, there are so many songs on this record that are my favorites.
Really
Theirs.
good.
I love Up and Up. I love Deathbed. There's just too many. I really love Give Until There's Nothing Left. Really, there's so many good songs on it, but there's just something about the feel of Forget and Not Slow Down as an album that I like. Just maybe edges this out a little bit. But I'm with you, Kyle, and then I think this Forget and Not Slow Down are just
Perfect trilogy.
really good trilogy. Although I like what's the one that came after
Collapsible Lung.
Collapsible Lung? I really like. It's
great.
But it's more of like a straightforward
Pop.
kind of pop,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
beach sounding record. And I do really like it still, but it's got a different feel to it for sure.
Yeah.
Completely.
I think Forget and Don't Slow Down might be my favorite. Chris, where are you at on, do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I'm just kind of partial. That
Is pretty good.
It's great.
Well, I thought that pop punk really needed that record at that time too. I think it bridged some.
Well, and it
major
changed
gaps.
your
You're
mind on the band
It
too.
did.
Right, and
Me too.
There's very few stories like that in my musical.
Totally.
Yeah, I can
biography.
probably count them on definitely 2
I
hands,
wonder if I
maybe
can
one.
even think of another one right
Vampire Weekend is another one that I hated,
Yeah.
and then they came out with their second album, I think, and someone was like, "You really should
have
give it
to.
another
Yeah.
shot."
now.
And I was
Harmony
like,
Hall.
Harmony Hall. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly.
"No, that one, it was the one before that.
Okay.
It was
Oh, see, for me, it was the Harmony Hall one.
Same.
no, it was
Is
the
that
one
the name of the
before
record?
it. No, but Harmony, that one is also fantastic. But yeah, basically, I think that band just got better. Like
Yeah.
their first, and it didn't help. The Blake's Got a New Face thing. I hated that song because everyone thought you must love it. No, I don't love that song. I don't like the song. And but the record that came after that, which I forget the names of those records. So that was one where I was like happy to be wrong. And there is something almost even better when you like. It's not like I didn't like Relient K. They just weren't my thing. I didn't.
Right.
The
And I
jokey
think they
kind
were
of
bad.
stuff. It wasn't
was just
my.
cheesy. Yeah.
Didn't love it. It was fine. I liked some of the songs. Sadie Hawkins is a great freaking song. It's fun
Yeah.
to sing live still.
Yep.
But there is something really satisfying about like kind of being wrong about
absolutely.
someone and being like, I'm glad I tried that again. It's the
Yep.
same thing with like food or anything
Yeah,
else. It's
totally.
like I'm willing to give something a shot and be that my old opinion wasn't necessarily wrong. I just think that they became a better band. And I
Right.
think that should be what happens with bands. They should
Yeah.
get better. Like the first album should never be the best thing from a band. If it is, they're not that great.
Right.
Or they, whatever, we're drug addicted or something like that. Sometimes that's the case too. There are external factors that can
No
matter
junk,
on
no
the,
soul.
but yeah, I'm with you on that, Chris. I think that's part of the reason I like a lot too, is because it really was like a thing that went like got me into this band. And then I was sold at that point. Once came out, I was like, all right, I'll check this out. And then Deathbed was the thing that really solidified like I will not ever not check out these
Yeah.
guys' albums. Because they're just really, really, really freaking good. Okay, is it their most important album? I don't. Mmhmm's gotta be.
I was going to say
mean,
it can't be because
it can't be, right?
Well, it's the biggest selling.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's
Sorry.
the most important. I mean,
Sorry,
like,
I don't think it's the biggest selling. It
But there-
was the highest
is, right?
debut.
Yeah.
highest debut.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I
Which
don't know
makes
which
sense.
one. Yeah.
I think Mmhmm's got to be it because that just was. It was. Chris, you're absolutely right. It was the perfect album for the perfect time. I even remember that video and kind of like there was just a lot of exciting.
When it plays in that old house. Yeah.
It was just it was good. So okay, we'll say those are our lasting impressions awards. Good luck on this one, fellas. Let's see if we can line up again. Desert Island songs. 2 or 3 of your favorites. Chris, what are yours?
Come right out and say it. Must have done something right. Deathbed.
Kyle.
Come right out and say it. Up and Up.
Oh.
Deathbed.
Oh, 2 out of 3.
I think I have to do Up and Up and Deathbed, and I think I'm doing. I mean, I think I'm doing Faking My Own Suicide.
Oh, nice.
Controversial.
It's just I think about it all the time. It's like, and it's so good, and like it's kind of sweet, but also really creepy. I just can't. But I love it.
yeah.
It's great. I think those are my 3. I just can't leave Deathbed off of it. I cannot not leave that song on. It's so epic.
It almost should have its own category in that category.
Yeah, it almost should. You can't include it, but it's a desert. I mean, if there's ever been a desert island song, that is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
That's got to be on my all-time desert island list. What about Nobody's Perfect? What's the worst song on the record? Kyle, do you have one?
No.
Bite My Tongue might be the one that I'm like, I think you could live without it if you needed to, but it's not like I dislike it.
14
It's fine.
songs, it could, or 13 other songs. It could
We all
go,
had
yeah.
pretty much the same.
I think
thing
we
to
had
say
the
with that
same
one. It
feeling
did-
on that
Felt like a little bit of a departure, but it wasn't bad on its own.
I'm not necessarily kicking it off. It's fine.
Yeah,
right.
I like it fine. It's probably my least favorite on the record, though. I think that's a fair thing to say. Grower Not a Shower was the song you didn't like at first, but now love. Chris, do you have one?
That one's hard because I can't name one on that. I mean, I think Forgiven might be it. I don't know why.
That's okay. You don't have to give us the reason.
It sits in an odd spot in the record because it's right before one of my favorite songs, which is Must Have Done Something Right.
Right.
And it was a CD, so I would tend to get like kind of a little more excited. But on this listen, I that one stood out. As a matter of fact, I can always tell when I really find a song interesting. I will add a lot of notes about it. Not all of them make sense, but you can tell I'm really engaged with it because I'm like, dick, 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 dick. That's the sound of me typing.
I think that, I mean, this sounds a little bit weird to say, but I think that Must Have Done Something Right is a little bit of it because it was just such the cheesy pop song that it's not like I ignored it. I just think that I grew to appreciate all the little things going on in it later because like it's just an earworm. And so that's like the first thing. It's just like, and the line is it's almost cringy cheesy at the first. And it's almost like, oh, this is just, I think I kind of wrote it off as kind of, oh, this is the, what's the song from Mmhmm that's basically like, this is that version of that song.
It's My Girl's Ex-Boyfriend.
My Girl's Ex-Boyfriend, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It kind of feels the same vibe, and it kind of it fits the role of like, okay, we're supposed to have this song, and so I think I sort of thought of it as like, well, they had to put this one on there, but like I really grew to appreciate it as like this is just a really good pop song,
Right.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's my grower, which is really strange to say probably because it's like a freaking grabs you right off the bat, but I think I like it a lot more than I used to. Kyle, do you have a grower?
I mean, this is like, no, I say no. However, I do remember the first time I heard Deathbed, and it's like, there's no way that at the start of that 11 minutes, you know how much that song's going to impact you.
No.
You know what I mean?
not.
So like, I liked it the very first time I listened to it, but it was such a journey, 11 minutes long, that from start to finish, I don't think I ever could have believed that it would affect me in that way when I started it. So.
Yeah.
I think that's a good answer.
I like
think
it.
that's fine. That does it for us. Thank you for joining us. If you like the podcast, let a friend know about it.
Yeah.
Tell them about it. You can also follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Finding Emo Pod.
If you hate it, tell an enemy.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell someone you
and
don't
leave a
like.
bad review.
No, just pretend we didn't ask for reviews. And
perfect.
that's what you're supposed to do.
That's right.
Yeah, give us a review.
What's a
That
review?
helps us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also, if you have album recommendations on Spotify or really anywhere, you can just email us if you want to, info@findingyouinpod. But you can go on Spotify. They got a little question. It's like, hey, what albums do you want to hear? And what we do is we throw those in a spreadsheet and we keep track of them. So if you vote for albums and you say, I'd love to hear this album, we will probably do it sooner
Right.
than later.
Right.
Because we just want to please you. That's all
That
we want
is,
to do.
that is the goal of this entire
goal
process,
here.
is to make you, the listener, happy.
Right. And so that's what we got going on. We're going to be doing some more stuff this year. We took obviously a bit of a break, but we're back into it and we're doing little video reviews. So if you have other things, if you want to do reaction videos on certain music videos that you think are either hilariously bad, that's kind of the fun ones, right?
Yeah.
So let us know anything you want to hear because we like doing the albums that you like because that's kind of the whole point. If you don't listen to the albums, why would you want to? People ask me all the time. They're like, "Oh, what's your podcast? I should check it out." I'm like, "Do you?
Don't.
No, don't. You don't like. If you don't like this music, you will not like the podcast.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But if you know a friend that was, maybe wearing eyeliner, had the duck cut haircut, and wore studded belts in the 2000s,
They might like
that's
it.
a friend
Yeah.
that will probably like this podcast. So you can tell them about it. All right. Thank you for joining us again. We will see you next time.
Yeah, and if you're falling asleep to this, you're going to do great tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sleep tight now. Good night.
Sleep. Dream about spiders.
No! Suckers!